What's something you do in a hotel room you'd never do at home? Use that white hand towel as a bath mat. Use all the towels. I don't typically steal my own soap. Check the sheets for bugs. Tolerate a bunch of loud strangers galloping down the halls at 3 a.m. I shouldn't read this thread. I'm a hotel manager. Fuck my wife. Walk around naked and leave the TV on in the background. I don't have cable at home. What one subject do you absolutely give zero fucks about? People famous for being famous without any obvious talent. Social media influencers or their opinions. Zero fucks is an understatement. Celebrity gossip. I could not care any less about what these people do in their day-to-day lives. Other people's definitions of what success or happiness is influencers, famous people. YouTuber drama. Award shows. NFTs. Anything that has to do with celebrities. IDGAF. What gets a lot of hate but deserves every bit of it? Cancer. The Westboro Baptist Church. Non-skippable video ads. Child molesters. People who talk at the theater. Tabloids. I'm amazed that they're still allowed to exist considering how much bullshit they publish. Nestle. What's that one thing people in their 20s should definitely do before turning 30? Learn to stop seeing 30 as some depressing end. Can still do your hobbies, make new friends, etc. at 30 plus. Start doing mobility exercises and stretching. Other than investing, get your physical and mental health in order. Unlearn the life plan mindset. Sometimes, things change. You won't like your career that you majored in later like you do now. Or maybe you already started seeing the cons. But that's okay. Starting over isn't a bad thing. Life isn't a race. Don't compare your life to your cousin Johnny or your cousin Lily. They're already struggling with their parents' expectations. Also, if you can, move away from your parents. You'll be surprised by how much parents can influence their children's lives and their choices. If you smoke cigarettes, quit. It's all shits and giggles when you're in your 20s, but it'll catch up to you way quicker than you think. If you quit now, your body still has time to heal much of the damage that has been done to it. Moisturize. Start moisturizing, people. Getting a routine down in your 20s is a good habit to have for the rest of your life. What made you a different person overnight? My father dying, we had a good relationship, and it changed me when one of the rocks that was my fundamental foundation was gone. Toss in a sprinkling of guilt, and overall was just a shitty experience. Not quite overnight, but close enough when my boss, who was lovely, caught me crying in the toilets at work. And I realized that in that time of my life, I would wake up and cry at work, cry when I got home, just because everything felt so pointless and futile. My boss put me in contact with some people and encouraged me to talk, and life is much more tolerable because of it. Watching the fallout from my parents' divorce, which led to the foreclosure of their home. The day I saw my mom packing the last few boxes up before leaving the house I grew up in, seeing the giant dumpster in the driveway full of all the shit my parents had bought over the years. Furniture that wasn't going to fit in efficiency units. Shared gifts and household decorations. Tons of old clothes and a lot of garage junk. All of my old toys that weren't regifted over the years. And I realized I didn't give a fuck about chasing after status and possessions if all that hard work could end like that. Nice things are nice, but in the end it ends up as junk in a fucking landfill. I posted this on another thread, but it applies. Not overnight, but in a few months. I will say though, my mother's death changed me pretty much overnight. I saw everything through rose-colored glasses and was a pushover. Long story short, in a 3-month time span my mom died of cancer. I found out my ex-husband had been sleeping with my sister while I was at the hospital with my mom, and I started working as a first responder. My family now tells me, your job has made you cold. No, going through those things in a very short amount of time will change a person drastically. I tolerate less bullshit, and the majority of the public can be entitled assholes. When you deal with other people's problems daily, you tolerate way less in your personal life. 5 people breaking into our house with a shotgun to rob and kill us. August 11, 2021. Drunk suicide attempt with my rifle. Have been clean and even scared of alcohol since. My mother's first mental breakdown when I was 9. She spent an entire night kicking/beating me while forcing me to tell her I hated her. I then had to listen to her cry after she locked herself in the bathroom. I didn't know until years later that she was contemplating suicide at that moment. After that, I never saw her as a safe person and lost hope/respect for all the adults in my life that ignored my bruises or told me to be brave and help my mother. I missed the child I was before that night. Leaving my ex-wife, as in actually moving out. Packed up all my stuff in a pod, the rest was overpacked in my tiny car. Said goodbye. Drove about a mile, pulled over into a parking lot, hugged my dog and cried for a few minutes. Then we embarked on a 1,500+ mile journey back home, to where I grew up, with a few stops along the way to meet some old friends and take in some great views. With the passing of Stan Lee and Betty White, who is America's token old person now. Say nothing. This is a trap. Morgan Freeman. Bob Barker. He's 98 years old. Perfect. Christopher Lloyd. Henry Winkler agreed on Twitter to be America's grandpa, since we lost Grandma Betty. Dick Van Dyke. Willie Nelson. Dolly Parton. What is the smartest joke you've ever heard? I have the world's worst thesaurus. Not only is it terrible, it's terrible. A physicist, a biologist and a statistician go hunting, and as they are hiding in the bushes they see a deer 70 feet ahead of them. The physicist makes some calculations, aims and fires at the deer. His shot ends up 5 feet to the left of his target. The biologist analyzes the deer's movement, aims and fires. His shot ends up 5 feet to the right of the deer. The statistician shouts, "We got it." Julius Caesar walks into a bar and says, "I'll have a martinez." The bartender gives him a puzzled look and asks, "Don't you mean a martini?" "Look," Caesar replies, "if I wanted a double, I'd have asked for it." Guy yells to a stranger across the river, "I need to get to the other side." Stranger yells back, "You are on the other side." Yo mama is so slow it took her 9 months to make a joke. 3 logicians walk into a bar. The bartender says, "You all want a beer?" First guy says, "I don't know." Second guy says, "I don't know." Third guy says, "Yes." What is the worst movie based on a book? Aragon. All-star cast, 0 fucks given about the series. Could have been great if they had actually stuck with the literary plot. The Dark Tower. Percy Jackson. Just thinking about it still makes me damn mad. Artemis Fowl. The Golden Compass was a great book with a pretty bad movie. World War Z for 2 reasons. It was nothing like the book in any way, and to steal Bill Burr's problem with it, was a PG-13 zombie move. What's the point? The Dark is Rising. The Dark is Rising is a series of children's novels written by Susan Cooper in the 1970s and is awesome. It's full of Celtic mythology, horrific demons, strange magic, and the growing insanity of an approaching age of chaos. It would be a very long post if I tried to describe everything the movie gets laughably wrong, so I'll just mention that the serious, stoic main character is now a small American child who shoots magic around while going cool, a lot, and that the scriptwriter who adapted the book never actually finished reading it because he thinks fantasy is boring. Edit a letter. A series of unfortunate events with Jim Carrey. The series with NPH was fucking epic though. Edit, Carrey, thanks. What needs to be normalized? Not being available at all times. Eating alone. Critical thinking. Mental health struggles. Society has come a long way, but we still have progress to be made. Men actually having feelings and not have, take it like a man. Men crying. What is something people brag about, but is not something to brag about? You slept 4 hours last night? I only slept 2. You're sleep deprived, do you want an applause? Never calling off or missing a day off work. Unless you legitimately love working, no one is happy or jealous of you slaving your life away. LOL, I'm such a pisco bitch. I mean, yeah, you are. Being aware of it is actually worse than being ignorant to it. Working so much they barely have time to have a life. How much you can drink. How many children they have / how they sacrificed everything for them. I've met a handful of people lately who use people either love me or hate me as a brag, and I've decided that it's a good indicator that the person saying it is probably a jerk. How would you react if you turned on the news and learned that Donald Trump passed away? Oh boy, here comes a new wave of stupid-ass conspiracy theories. I'll wait 3 days to see if he's just hiding behind a rock in a cave in an effort to gain more Messiah points with his cult. Oh, I'm immediately opening up social media. I would assume he's lying about it. I'd look around for any fucks to give, only to turn up empty-handed. Act dignified and restrained. The long-term goal is to bring his followers back to common sense, and it wouldn't serve that aim to let them see the relief that I'd actually feel. What is your comfort video game? Red Dead Redemption 2, galloping around on my horse, hunting, watching the scenery for hours, bliss. Minecraft. Stardew Valley. It feels so wholesome and relaxing to play. Spider-Man PS4. Skyrim. Skyrim with all the cheats. I just wander around one-punching everyone to death. Terraria. And Final Fantasy Tactics. Terraria or Minecraft?